The Underwater Menace has been revealed as the next Doctor Who missing episode to receive the animation treatment. The news comes a good 6 or 7 months after initial rumours that this story was being animated alongside the first Doctor serial, The Smugglers. Those rumours were reported on by the Daily Mirror at the time, back in January of this year, I think. Like I say, those two stories were mentioned. There was also mention of episodes potentially being colourised as like a separate thing, but there's no news on that in this particular press release or on The Smugglers, so we'll have to wait and see, whether that actually happens or not. But in terms of the Underwater Menace, yes, this news really did come out of nowhere, because, there were those initial rumours, but no one really kind of put too much stock in them, because, the Underwater Menace and the Smugglers aren't stories that are particularly well regarded by Doctor Who fandom. And also, just aside from all that, there was a big question mark over the future of this range, the animations of the missing episodes from the 60s and the first and second Doctor's era. We've had various animation reconstructions over the years, beginning with The Invasion in 2006, and then covering other stories like The 10th Planet, The Ice Warriors, The Reign of Terror. And then there was a bit of a gap. We had The Power of the Daleks in 2016 to mark the 50th anniversary of that story. And then another little wave of animations in more recent years to kind of coincide with the Chibnall era on television. And we've had things like The Macra Terror, The Faceless Ones, Fury from the Deep. The Abominable Snowmen was the most recent one last year. We also got the third episode of Web of Fear animated, quite controversially, with like a 3D mocap type animated experiment thing. But following the release of The Evil of the Daleks and Galaxy 4 and then The Abominable Snowman, like I say, last year, there really was this massive question mark over the future of this range. The people involved didn't seem to be working on any other projects in the future. It all seemed quite bleak from that point of view, like there was nothing else being commissioned. There were rumours that this had something to do with the handover, from the Chris Chibnall team to Russell T Davies's current team, the current production team, and also, stuff as well that was happening like the Disney deal and BBC America kind of coming out of the picture and potentially pulling funding there as well. It was never kind of officially said, what was going on there, what the future of the range was, but it did seem like nothing else was on the way. And happily, that has now been proven wrong. We've got this news of The Underwater Menace coming out in November of this year, and presumably, the rumours were true about the Smugglers as well. Presumably that'll be following maybe early next year, say. So let's take a look at what the press release has to say. The second Doctor's partially missing adventure will be animated with 4 new episodes in colour and high definition, releasing on DVD and Blu-ray. BBC Studios continues to offer Doctor Who fans the opportunity to extend their at-home collection by announcing the latest release, Doctor Who The Underwater Menace, on DVD and Blu-ray. The 2-disc box set contains the 4th series story as well as special features. This classic series serial stars the second Doctor Patrick Troughton and co-stars Annika Wills as Polly, Michael Craze as Ben and Fraser Hines as Jamie McCrimmon. The original 1967 master recordings of all except episodes 2 and 3 of The Underwater Menace were lost soon after the programme's original transmission. However, audio-only recordings of the missing 2 episodes have survived and have been used to create a brand new, fully animated presentation of this lost classic. This story sees these characters navigate through their adventures in the underwater city of Atlantis, where they meet with Professor Zaroff, who plots to destroy the Earth by draining the oceans. Fans can expect a super jam-packed series, bursting with unseen exclusive content. All episodes have been animated in colour and black and white, whilst including original film elements. And then we have a breakdown of the release in terms of discs. So disc 1 there with the main feature, episodes 1 to 4 animated in both colour and black and white. Then disc 2 contains both original surviving episodes, the middle episodes, episodes 2 and 3, plus reconstructions, episodes 1 and 4. And then some special features originally released on the vanilla DVD released from a few years back, which we'll discuss in just a moment, together with some new ones. So The Underwater Menace is the 5th serial of Doctor Who Season 4, Patrick Troughton's first season as the Doctor. And as you'll have gathered, it's 50% missing, 50% surviving, so episodes 2 and 3 do both exist, episodes 1 and 4 do not, they were junked and have never been recovered. Episode 2 was actually missing until fairly recently. It was only recovered in 2011, or at least they only announced it in 2011. And then there was this kind of infamous DVD release, which kept getting pushed back and delayed and cancelled and coming back again. Because basically, with these stories, they tend to release an episode on DVD if, at least 50% of the story is still existing. They haven't done that with every missing episode, you know, for instance, something like The Crusade, but they did say they were going to do it with The Underwater Menace. It took them a while to get around to it, and then eventually, I think the release came out in 2015, and yeah, it had a lovely cover, I think, by Lee Binding. But fans were, on the whole, pretty disappointed by the release because it had taken, you know, all this time to come out, and then it came out and there were barely any special features on it. There were fairly kind of basic reconstructions, episodes 1 and 4. They were there, but just kind of simple telesnap reconstructions. And then it was also the final DVD release in the classic series range. And at that point, we didn't know that, you know, other things were going to come out in the future, like the animations of other missing episodes, or like the collection box sets on Blu-ray. So it's fair to say that it left fans with a bit of a sour taste in their mouths at the time. But that's, you know, all the more fantastic that it's getting re-released now in this new format. So in terms of what we can expect from this release, we haven't got loads to go on in terms of visual stuff. There was a brief sort of, I think, 10 or 12 second teaser that was released to kind of announce the news, really. So we have a few shots there just showing off like the TARDIS landing, the TARDIS crew from this story, Professor Zaroff, and then what appears to be like redesigned fish people as well, the kind of antagonists, or not really antagonists, but kind of main monster or creature of the story. The DVD cover art and stuff like that will come much later, but that gives us a very kind of vague idea of what to expect. I mean, as you'll have gathered from the press release, this animation is following the precedent set by some of the more recent ones, where the whole story is animated, so even though the 2 episodes, the middle episodes, do exist, the whole thing is being done as like a complete package just for the sake of like continuity, so you can watch it all the way through in animated form. It's being done in both colour and black and white, and as I've kind of suggested there are kind of some liberties being taken here with things like the design of the fish people, with things like the locations and the vistas and stuff. I mean, there are like sharks present in the trailer. I'm very sure that wasn't in the original episode. I mean, The Underwater Menace as a story, it is just ripe for this sort of treatment, you know, like we've had with stuff like the Macro Terror, where it just allows the whole thing, the world building and the scale of it to be kind of really taken up a notch. You know, this is a story that takes place under the sea, with sea creatures and sea people, and this mad scientist kind of wanting to destroy the world by sinking Atlantis and stuff like that. It's such an imaginative story with so many memorable moments, like the Second Doctor kind of donning various disguises and things like that in order to kind of get around. As I've said, you know, it's not the most well-regarded story. I think personally I would say it's a little bit underrated. Now, I've only watched it once. Obviously, I've only been able to watch the surviving episode and then like the telesnap reconstructions, episode 1 and 4. So, you know, my opinion may change for the worse or the better when I see the animation. But I do think this release is really exciting. You know, it's a chance to inject some new love into this story and for it to get some new appreciation from fans. Hopefully, as with other releases, it'll get a big screening at the BFI so the story can properly be celebrated and probably have that moment in the limelight. I mean, it's quite funny actually because Riverside Studios in London, well in Hammersmith, where this story was shot, is doing its own sort of sequence of events at the moment to celebrate Doctor Who's 60th anniversary, including one tomorrow on the Moon Base, which I'll be attending. And for the next one in October, they're doing a screening, I think called something like Sea and Space, which has one other episode, which I've forgotten, from the Patrick Troughton era, and also episode 2 or 3, I think it's episode 2, of The Underwater Menace. So if there is a BFI screening for this new animated version, you know, around the same time in October or November, we could potentially be getting 2 screenings of The Underwater Menace this autumn, which is a pretty bonkers thought. I think overall it's just great to know that the animation range is continuing, you know, it's not just stopped dead in its tracks, because there was this real sense of momentum with the most recent releases, you know, they're really kind of hitting their stride, so it's great that we are getting more of these. There has been this kind of transitional period, but I suppose in retrospect that was kind of to be expected with the handover between production teams and stuff like that, and with Disney and stuff, and just kind of working things out. We don't know the details of all the behind the scenes stuff, but they've managed to make it work somehow in terms of the funding and stuff, and for that I am glad. What are your thoughts on The Underwater Menace getting the animation treatment? You know, what your thoughts are on the story as it is, and what do you expect and what do you hope for from this new animated version? Be sure to let me know in the comments section below. Be sure to also like the video if you have enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more stuff like this in the future. But otherwise, until the next one, thank you so much for watching, and goodbye for now.